Now, brand new year, brand new anxieties, or some of the same old anxieties too. So I, it is like new beginnings. All right, new beginnings for this year, and I think for all of us. So many things that again we don't have control over, but there are things that we do have control over, and that is something that we're going to be focusing a little bit on today, is the things that we do have control over, and how that can help us cope with what comes our way. All right, a lot of times in our day-to-day world, we have ups, we have downs, and that's normal. Sometimes I know when I'm talking to people, they're like, or even thinking about myself at times, I think that we were programmed in many ways to think that we should always be kind of like upbeat or happy, and that's not the way it is. Like, yes, some days are very good and other days are very difficult. All right, so dealing with the highs and the lows, all right, knowing that we can still kind of keep that even tone, even feeling in the body, even when we are experiencing days that are not the best of days. So one of the things that I immediately go to when I'm feeling anxious is just allowing myself to be present. Like, okay, I am here right now and I have all of these feelings, all of this stuff that's going on in my body. Not trying to tamp it down, not trying to go, oh, you know, you'll be fine, because I'm not feeling so fine. And I'm sure you've had that too, where you're like, I I want to feel better, but at this time I don't feel so good. So just acknowledging and giving yourself that freedom to say, this is a difficult time. All right. That is very helpful. You're giving yourself permission to say, this is not a happy time for me. All right. Tomorrow might be a better day, but right now I'm in the middle of this and it doesn't feel so good. So just sitting with it for a few moments, and sometimes it can feel so powerful, like a giant wave is going to crash down upon you. I don't know if that's what it feels like to you, but sometimes anxiety can be so gripping that it feels like you are going to be either blown away by the wind or crashed upon by waves. And when you're right in the middle of it, I'm going to ask you to just like hold on to that feeling for a few moments, because it will pass. It really will. It just feels like it's going to be like such a long, long time before it passes, but it really will pass. And then after acknowledging that, yes, this is not a happy time, this is, I am with all of these feelings in my body, then now what to do with all of these feelings. So one of the things that I like to do is when I'm feeling that anxiety and that like the wave is just going to crash down upon me, I actually just put my hands together. So when you just put your hands together, you're bringing the right and the left side of the body and the brain together. And just by pressing your hands together, it can bring you to this moment, because you're physically doing something, bringing your hands together. And this bringing the hands together is something that all cultures use, all right, for just being in this moment and being aware of all of your feelings and everything that's going on, and just noticing where your hands are touching. So just notice, take a moment right now and just notice your palms just touching each other. Sometimes when I'm anxious, my hands get very, very cold. All right, perhaps they do for you too, and they feel like cold and clammy. or something. So we're just noticing, how do your hands feel at this moment? Now, at this moment, you might be going, they feel pretty good. But just noticing, and maybe not giving it the label, they feel pretty good, just noticing how the temperature is or what the temperature is, just noticing that. And then noticing where the parts of your hands are touching. And then just slowly start to rub your hands together, because it's going to give your mind something to do. So we're focusing on something when we're feeling anxious and nervous. So we're just noticing. And maybe when you just kind of, you might be able to feel your fingertips or the palms of your hand. Is there any temperature difference from this to this or this to this? So you're just noticing that. And then to help distract you just a little bit more, you can just kind of like just touch your hands and maybe just massage them a little bit. Now in acupressure and in reflexology, there's a lot going on in the hands. And because we use our hands for a lot of things, this is something that they are sensitive. So just by being aware of that in your hands, that your hands are very sensitive, and then just kind of bringing your fingers around from your left hand over to your right hand, or maybe it's your right to your left hand, just maybe massaging the tips of your fingers, because the tips of your fingers are, in reflexology and in some acupressure points, these are with your brain, all right, your sinuses. So we're just gently touching those areas, maybe just kind of feeling them, noticing them. And then you can go to the other hand, giving them a little massage, just noticing that. And then rub your hands together again. And then rub the top of your hands, because there's also lots of places that you can feel on the tops of your hands, the bottoms, the palm of your hands and your fingertips. And then just kind of shake your hands a little bit, shake it off. It's like you're shaking it off, literally. I just want to shake this anxiety off. And then just put your hands just put them on your legs and notice, do you feel anything in your hands right now? Maybe a little tingling, a little buzz. You might not feel anything, but just notice that. And then just notice just maybe the weight of your hands just on your legs or wherever your hands are resting. And then come into notice your breath. So when I'm anxious, I feel that I can almost not breathe. Does that happen to you? Because sometimes it happens to me where I feel as if I cannot quite catch my breath, like, or like I'm holding my breath. But you can only hold your breath for so long, right? So you have to breathe. You really do. So just focusing on the breath. So just notice your breath coming in your nose and your breath going out your nose. And just sitting and acknowledging that I am breathing in and I am breathing out. In the middle of chaos and crisis, I'm still breathing. Really, really coming into the breath and noticing that you are breathing. So at the beginning, I said, sometimes when we're in the middle of something, we feel like we have no control, or we're out of control, or the situation is out of control. But what you do have control over, and you can control, is your breath. So you might not be able to control what's going on, but you can control as you're breathing in and breathing out. So just noticing that, and noticing, not trying to change it at the beginning in any way, but just noticing that you're breathing. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. And then many times when we're anxious, or at least in my experience, I feel as if I'm not getting the breath down into my lungs, that it kind of is stuck, about right in here. So by focusing your attention down towards the belly area, and to do that, I'll actually sometimes take my hands and just put them right down. So it's right below the rib cage and a little bit above your waist. And you're just going to notice if you can allow the breath to just sink down a little bit deeper. Noticing that, just breathing. I have control over that. And then while we're doing that, come up and notice, are you clenching your teeth? Because many times when we're anxious and nervous, it's that fight or flight response. So we might not even notice it, but allowing yourself to notice, am I clenching my jaw? And then allowing your facial features to soften. To do that sometimes, and I've done this during some meditations too, you have a very, very slight smile. It's not a cheesy grin like yee, but it's just very, very slight. And it will allow the facial features to relax. Because when you're grimacing, it's not so much of a smile, is it? Just allowing that area to relax and a very slight smile. I have control over that. I can choose that I can allow that area to soften. I'm feeling my breath. I have control over my breath. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. Good. And once I have my breath feeling like I'm able to get a breath in, now I can also exhale the breath out. So we're going to take a little bit of time and just inhale. And then we're going to exhale out through the mouth this time with a that sigh can signal to your brain and the body that, okay, I'm able to breathe. All right, I'm in control of that. All right. And then that exhalation, because many times it feels like you're holding your breath forever. That's what it's almost felt like during this pandemic. Like we're just holding our breath, right? So we're just allowing that exhalation. Exhale. And then once we have that, knowing that, okay, I have control now, my jaw is a little bit softer. I can feel my breath coming in and out. I know where my hands are. They're on my belly or in my lap right now. The next thing is the body holds on to tension, and it's difficult to allow yourself to break free of that tension until you start to just notice your body that's holding on to tension. So one of the things that I like to do is just simply notice, am I holding a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders? Because many times that's where tension goes. It might go to your lower back or your hips, but many times when we're really tense and anxious about something, it's going to show up either in jaw, neck, shoulders. So one of the things to do is just shrug your shoulders up, because many times when we're anxious and nervous, they're probably already up there. So just pull them up and then slowly let them down. And see if you can imagine that someone has gently just pressed their hands on the top of your shoulders and you're allowing your shoulders to just soften. Do it again. Just use the breath this time. Just bring them up as you breathe in. And as you exhale, let your shoulders soften. Yeah. Sometimes I have to do that a couple of times just to allow the shoulders to release. All right, since the shoulders like to hold on to tension. And then to bring myself back into my body, because usually when I have an anxiety, it's all up here. All right. So I'm bringing myself back to my body. So a lot of times I'll just take, like right now, I'm going to just take my right hand and just put it on top of my left shoulder. Yeah. And, or you can do left and whatever, whichever hand, but it's to the opposite because it's easier to reach. And just start to maybe feel that area, notice. And you might even be able to feel through your clothing if your fingertips are warm or your palm is warm or cool. So you're just noticing, and just notice the sensation of you touching that area, and notice if there's any parts that are tight or tender. You might notice that, you might not. You'll notice the tender places when you get to them, and then you're just going to acknowledge that again. Wow, those areas are tight in my body because I'm feeling anxious about a lot of things. So you're just noticing that and giving yourself, really giving yourself that ability to take control. So I'm taking control. I'm putting my hand there. Just kind of pat yourself on the shoulder like, yeah, this is not an easy time. All right. It's hard for us because I know I'm a hugger and this has been a difficult time not to be able to put hands on other people. All right. So do it to yourself. Take your other hand and just notice if this side is holding on to any tightness or tenderness, and you're just noticing. And you're just notice again if you can feel a difference in the temperature. You might not, but just notice the pressure from having your hand on your shoulder. And then just like pat yourself on the shoulder. I mean, your body does need to be acknowledged that yeah, you are going through this time, and to give yourself, the ability to take control of that. And then just lifting your elbows up, all right? And just doing that, it's starting to bring energy up. And a lot of times we feel when we're feeling anxious that our mind, our brain is almost like you're almost going to faint. All right. So by just letting your hands come up, we're allowing the energy to flow up. And if you're able, you can just keep raising your arms up. And then if it feels all right for you, just lift your chin and you can look up towards the ceiling. Take a breath. Slowly let it out. You can even let it out through your mouth this time with a and let your hands come down. Good. Roll your shoulders back and down and just notice, is there a little bit of a difference? Maybe wiggle them a little bit. And maybe you're noticing, now you're noticing maybe something in your lower part of your back that you might not have even noticed before, because when you're holding on to a lot of tension or you're very anxious, you ignore a lot of the signals that the body's giving you. So we're taking control over things that we can take control over: our breath and how we're going to move our body. And then sometimes what also helps is just slowly, just you can bend forward and just notice. And I'm going to see what you guys are doing it, but as you bend forward, just notice the sensation. Yes, that's it. Bending forward and notice the sensation as your hands just slide down your legs or wherever you can reach. And then just slowly bring your body back up. Take another breath in. Slowly let it out. And you're just noticing how you're feeling And these are some techniques that I use when I'm feeling anxious or nervous about something. And it seems to really be able to get me back into this now moment. All right, which at this exact time I have control over my breath, and I have control now over, I'm able to feel parts of my body that sometimes when I'm anxious and nervous I have trouble even feeling. So let's go ahead. We're going to take the right hand and just put it on your shoulder. Take your left hand, or maybe for you, you want to do this. I don't know, either way, but just do that. Shrug your shoulders up. Maybe tuck your chin down, move your head a little bit. Sometimes that releases tension, and this just shrugging opens up the back area a little bit. And then release that. Let your hands come down, and let your hands just, palms can just come like you're facing your palms up towards the ceiling, and you're just lifting your chest and looking up, and then coming back. So that stretch where you're lifting the heart a little bit higher, that allows your body, because many times when we're anxious and nervous, we are in this shutdown mode. And when we can lift the chest and take a breath in, that is really going to help us allow breathing to be a little bit easier, and know that we are now back in control of our body and our breath. So that is some tips on how to, when you're right in the middle of anxiety, how to bring yourself to the now, and also have control over things that you can have control over. I'm wishing you peace and health and happiness during this year, now and during all of the months that are coming. Thank you.